This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 845 for the week of Monday, December 2nd, 2024. My name is Zach.
And my name is Alex.
And on today's show, we have very special guest translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. We have Stephen Paul.
Yes.
Stephen, hi. How are you?
Hi.
I just assumed you would.
Wow.
Let me do that again.
Yes, I am here. I'm doing great, Zach. I mean, I could be better. I was on very low sleep this morning, and I was awakened by my wonderful cat Simba, friend of the show, pet of the show, and it turned out that he had flushed out from somewhere in our apartment an enormous cockroach, which I have never seen inside before. So that was horrifying. And I did not get a lot of sleep after that either. But that's been my day so far.
So it's like a water bug or just like a cockroach?
Like a full-on cockroach, like the size of your thumb, basically.
I should say in New York they're called water bugs when they're like the ones that are like fist size cockroaches. I don't know if they come that big in San Diego.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Those are scary stuff. I have stories about that. But that's for the Patreon. That's why you subscribe to that. Stephen, thank you for coming on. We also have Eisner Award-nominated artist for Mermin, Ghost Hog, Dragon Racer. God, I just looked at your newest book that's coming out. It's I don't want to say it wrong. Joey Weiser is on. Joey, you want to tell us about what's coming out soon for you?
The Littlest Fighter. The Littlest Fighter. A kaiju-inspired graphic novel that I think everyone should pre-order right now. But more importantly, in cat news, we just adopted a kitten, and the vet recommended 2 weeks of quarantine away from our other cat because she was a stray that we picked up. And so we're entering week 2, and I feel bad for the little lady. She's stuck in our bathroom for 2 weeks, and it's not very fun in there, but she's doing okay.
That sounds like a smell.
What was the name that you settled on?
Cricket.
That's right.
Mont Blanc. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the other cat
this week.
Our first cat's name is Sunny, which obviously has One Piece connotations. But now I thought we were free and clear with Cricket, but you're right. Of course, any name you come up with is a One Piece name.
Oh yeah, my son's name is named after a boat, as we all know. Please, comicbook.com or whatever stupid clickbait article site, don't take that and run with it. Podcaster's name's son after One Piece boat.
Boat.
Yeah, boat.
It's a nice
after boat. It's not nice. It's old. And now it's been damaged significantly. Anyway, you might have heard his voice here for his annual appearance. We have one of the hosts of the Vintage Anime Club, longtime guest, Dennis, also known as Ichnob. How are you doing, Dennis?
That's me, your friendly neighborhood old taku. Doing all right. Eating way too much food, as one does during these holiday times. And like Zach said, I was like, wait, has it been a year? I think it's been a year. Oh, man. All right.
I have to double check that, but it might have been.
It's been roughly. I feel like I will be promoting the same exact things at the very end of the show again.
Yeah, it's been since the last one has the Thanksgiving Day balloon on it, so that gives you an idea. The one from Mike. Yeah, so that's pretty perfect. Yeah. And last but not least, booktuber, I believe is the term, YouTuber, Daniel Greene, once again joining us. Happy to have you on, Daniel.
Thanks for having me. It's been a rough 24 hours. My cockroach named Wanda's been missing, and I've just been so worried. I don't know where she went off to, but we're keeping our hopes up.
You had that one locked and loaded there. That's
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah. If you want to come check my dumpster, you might. We'll see if we can find something.
No, Wanda, my cockroach.
Yeah, I thought Steven would have to set his place on fire now. Because
I'm just
imagining cat found.
I'm imagining a cockroach dressed like Wanda. Just odd for many reasons.
You mean dressed like Nami?
Fair. Oh yeah, and the nice gown. Yeah, that's what we need. A cockroach dress like that. I already see the fan art being created before my eyes, and I don't want to see it. Anyway, we have lots of news. I want to give a big thanks to Adil, who has been compiling this for us. I'm going to try and get through it at a relatively quick pace because they're all actually pretty big pieces of news that have happened over just like the last week. Before I get into that, I want to give, since this is like the, consumerism time, please give our Patreon a subscription if you haven't. For just $5 a month, you get everything, really. You get the alternate images and titles. You get the extended cuts of episodes, which include our discussions about the titles and stuff, and many other fascinating discussions, I'm sure. And a lot more, including Forced to Watch 4Kids, the complete series. So, that out of the way. Let's talk about news. Let's promote some One Piece instead. The first, did anyone here catch Luffy in the Thanksgiving Day parade this year?
Yes.
Yep. For like the 10 seconds that he was there.
He was there
Welcome
the whole
back
time.
to New York, Luffy. Welcome back to New York.
He was there the whole time. That's NBC's decision to only show him for 10 seconds. Did they pronounce everything right? I didn't watch that.
Oh, yeah.
They did.
You say that like it's a given.
Al Roker must have he must have a Crunchyroll account or a Watch It. Because he knows how to pronounce it all, baby.
No, he called regular Goku Super Saiyan Goku. So,
shit. Well,
amateur hour.
Well, you know what? He's not a great weather guy either. So,
although it might not have been him, it could have been Hoda Kotb or the other one.
Fake weeb Al Roker. Got it.
God, I wish. We're going to have Al Roker on this show at some point.
What if he listens to this podcast? Al, I'm sorry.
Al, we
didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
Bust your chops.
I loved your hat. It was great.
You guys hardcore stereotyped him not being into it. For all we know, massive weeb. He could be just covered in berserk tattoos under that suit. We don't know.
You know what? He legitimately could be. I would be genuinely surprised, though. But good for him. Everyone loves Al Roker.
Update the Wikipedia immediately.
Sign of friendship tattoo on the correct arm, Al Roker.
Okay, so we got Al Roker in berserk tattoos and a cockroach dressed in Wanda's outfit so far, and it's only been like 10 minutes. It's going to be a good one. It's always cool to see Luffy. His hat stayed intact. That's the big news here. And he was followed by the NYPD. I know a lot of people mentioned.
That was odd.
I saw Sakazuki fan art of Luffy chasing Sakazuki or something like that.
Wait, was that like an intentional choice to make like the military police after him? Or was that just coincidence?
You're giving
I'm
way
sure it was
too much.
Yeah,
you're giving way too much credit to no. I mean, maybe like the Macy's organizer is like a true diehard fan and listening right now is like, yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to put them in this order. I could guarantee you the NYPD had no idea. I don't know if anyone has anything else to say about Thanksgiving.
Apparently, our man on the inside, Jose, helped coach the CNN staff on how to pronounce it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I heard about
Jose
that.
Argumento.
Yeah.
All right.
And the next bit of news is only for law fans. There's did we come like with an official translation, the time of Kikoku? But does that just mean plant?
Oh, the law.
Or am I thinking there? Yeah.
The law. Yeah. So yeah, apparently the magazine, the issue it's just coming out this week. So you're probably seeing like leaks and posts and stuff from it. As always happens, the next issue of the One Piece magazine is out this week, and that is the Live, Laugh, Loof, or whatever. Loof.
That's what we called it.
Yeah. It's a lot of cutesy stuff, a lot of little manga vignettes from other artists and things like that. And so apparently it has both part 2 of the Zoro novel that started last time, and it's starting up part 1 of another. I was like, it's a follow up to the first Law novel, which was, way back a few years ago in the One Piece magazine. So they're going to run 2 at the same time. More novel stuff, which I will potentially someday get the chance to translate. Hopefully.
Yeah, 2028 is going to be a fun year for you. Whenever it comes out. Yeah. I'm sure this will do well. I would be shocked if it didn't, because Law is, I believe, quite popular.
I just got so confused because you said the first Law novel, and I was like, we're talking Joe Abercrombie all of a sudden? What?
Yes. Yeah. No. Next, in release news, this is our annual How Good Did One Piece Do? I think Jujutsu Kaisen beat it in the overall manga rankings, but I would also add that One Piece I'm assuming One Piece had less volumes, although Jujutsu Kaisen I know ended, but it just ended. So
they're probably still putting out the last few.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
So I'm assuming there were only 3 volumes of One Piece, which is a little nuts. They came out in first place overall out of all of them, volume 108. This is the second consecutive year and 14th time. I feel like I'm in an award show, and 14th time overall that it landed in the top spot. 1.5 million. 109 was in third, and 110 was in sixth. So doing about what it usually does. There's less of them, and I have a feeling because they're coming out less, and I'm like wondering, with One Piece kind of out of the zeitgeist a little bit in Japan, if that's gonna affect things. Mostly next year, I guess. Because
that was 14th time that an individual volume has been the number one sold volume, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. One Piece used to just dominate overall, but I think starting with Attack on Titan that year, which probably
Attack on Titan beat it. I don't know if
I think
My Hero ever beat it. Jujutsu Dev. Oh no, it was Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen.
Demon Slayer
completely rocked it those years that they blew up. And One Piece is obviously slowed down, so you have fewer volumes per year coming out. So it is always in that top 5, though.
If you don't mind me asking, just as someone who doesn't look into One Piece as closely, what makes you specifically say it's out of the zeitgeist, though? Is it like year-over-year sales by volume actually down? Or
no, not this year. Well, it might be. I don't have that. I should have looked up that information before we started. But I mean, for 2025, I'm curious, just since the anime is taking a long break for the first time in its 25 plus year history.
Okay.
Through April. The break just started a few weeks ago through April.
There wasn't a new movie either. So
there's no new movie as far as we know. I'm assuming
they're working on whatever the next one is going to be eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're
at the very earliest that could come out at the end of the year of 2025. So I guess it's possible. The manga is having less volumes are certain to come out because the pace has changed over recent years. I mean, even if the story is pretty big, there's just less of it, which might be good. I don't know. I'm curious. That's why that's all I'm saying.
That tends to have an effect on like the volume sales in Japan, this is what we're talking about is the Oricon chart. But I think the big thing that's happened recently is the Netflix show. That's kind of like the way that it is expanded. So it's hitting different audiences worldwide. And there's some of that comes back to Japan, I'm sure. But in terms of like when it's had these really meteoric moments of just like ubiquity everywhere in Japan, those have been at certain points in the past. And it's been a little while since they had one of those.
I'm really interested by this stuff, so sorry if I'm harping on it too much.
No, please.
Do we know if the live action adaptation performed well in Japan? Like, was it well received in general by that audience, or was it more because it was so tailored to the U.S. audience popular here?
From what I could tell, this is not a comprehensive
anecdotal. This is
very anecdotal. But it did seem like it was fairly well received, which I would say is how how I would characterize the English speaking response to it as well. I think that a lot of people were kind of tickled by seeing like a different version of this very, very familiar story, and I think the novelty of seeing it done in a very professional way that wasn't quite as there wasn't as embarrassing as like the Dragon Ball Evolution movie or other kind of high profile blowouts of anime series. I think that everybody was pleasantly surprised by it. I wouldn't necessarily say that it like caught Japan on fire or anything like that, but from what I saw, it wasn't like they were super upset about it or anything like that.
But from what you just said, there's one Dragon Ball Z live action fan punching the air right now so hard. Just
yeah, it's like, how could you say that?
That's really interesting though, because I don't know. I'm one of the people, I think I was more positive than a lot of fans in the show because my expectations were really low. So I was just like surprised by how well it performed. And like, I got so many more people who would never touch One Piece into it now because they just really dug like the vibe that they did successfully adapt. Like, I think obviously there's writing stuff you can point at, but I was just so happy to see what felt like the overall vibe of One Piece at least decently captured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the live action, did we have more?
Perfect transition.
News?
I was going to say your segue was incredible. I could go into Oricon because I'm looking at it now. Just one last thing about it. One Piece was last at number 1 in 2018 and has dropped as far as number, I think, 6 in 2021. Anyway, comment came out. Oda was in South Africa. That was one of the many reasons he was gone over the last 4 weeks. He's had one chapter. So I'll read it really quickly. It's short. I went to South Africa. Cape Town is where the Netflix live action show is being filmed. I got to see firsthand the hard work of so many crew members across various fields. The set's huge. The attention to detail, insane. The crew's love for the project, off the charts. And the food, amazing. Now I feel an even greater sense of responsibility given my role. I also managed to speak with not only the returning cast from season 1, but also the new cast members. My own casting selections were made from Japan over photos and videos, but seeing them all in person convinced me they were absolutely the perfect choice. This is just how Oda goes around talking, by the way. The vibe on set was just the best too. Trust me, this is going to surpass season 1. Stay tuned for season 2. So I know he meant to do this in season 1 to go to South Africa, but I think COVID
it didn't work out.
Yeah. And other reasons, I'm sure, got in the way. So good news. We still are I think they're still filming. So not a lot of new news on that front.
Yeah.
There's some cute photos of Oda palling around with cast members and stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of little glimpses of the sets and things like that, which are fun to see.
Someone commented that like that's the same outfit Oda wore when we went to the LA event a couple years ago.
He was with Vivian Robin's actresses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got to go to the sets. You could see him with some board crew members. That's
someone also identified his
I saw someone
Prada bag.
Identify a $2,500 Prada bag that he was wearing.
Are we going to talk about the hippo, the big hippo table?
Go
was
for
that
it.
In one of the
I see it. Yeah.
set pictures?
Yeah, he's holding the big slate, and you can see the chomp fruit on the.
Yeah, there's a big hippo in the background.
Stuff, yeah.
I didn't even notice that big
There's
hippo.
There's a big
in the
hippo
background.
and a huge feast. So I'm assuming that's like a Wapol set.
Clearly,
There's
I looked at these on my phone.
Wearing Dalton's colors in the background too.
Nice.
And Matt Owens is rocking a season 2 Oda. It looks like drawing shirt.
That shirt.
Yeah, which
It's
you can't really
cool.
see, but I want to see more. I'll look at those more in detail. Clearly, I didn't see them closely enough. I want to also talk about Bookwalker. Do you want to, Dennis? Do you want to take that away?
Sure thing.
Yeah.
So Bookwalker digital manga marketplace. They have also light novels, and you can subscribe to pay, unfortunately, for chapters as well. But they're doing a promo right now since they are owned by Kadokawa. There's a whole bunch of Shueisha books now there. I'm only a customer of their English language website or service, but they do have apps where you can download books offline to read as well. Syncs across your devices, and the promo that they got, because there's so many Viz Media titles there, there's 150 books that are on sale for $1. And what Bookwalker does, when you make certain purchases, you also get some of that money as cash back towards a future purchase. So there's a whole bunch of bundles where it's like, you buy a couple of books, you get 30% cash back. You buy a couple more books, you could get up to 50. So if you wanted to pad out your digital manga collection that you could read with you offline,
look, they're not paying us, Dennis.
They're not.
I don't have to go into too.
I don't get any of the details. I don't even get anything. But they had a deal for they had a deal for Delicious in Dungeon, and I was like, "Yep, I guess I'm buying all these because I get a whole lot more."
I do want to read the manga for that at some point. Yeah, check that out. 3,900 Viz titles is what Adil told me at least. Yeah, go ahead.
The note does say Bookwalker Global. I'm not sure if that's the technical title for all of them, or if this is referring to the fact that maybe a lot of these Viz titles are now internationally available, where they were sequestered to the North American storefront or something like that. I'm not sure, because actually, like Dennis, I do get a lot of stuff on Bookwalker, but for me it's like work stuff. So I will get Japanese books, which you can get on, I believe you just have one account. You just have to be able to find, like, you got to link it from the Japanese site, and then you can just browse everything in Japan as well. And so that's what I do to get like workbooks, so that I don't have to order physical copies. It's way easier to just work off the screen, which is very nice. So I mean, it works decently well. So yeah, if that's something you are in the market for, check it out.
The dumbest feature that I enjoy on Bookwalker is you can make custom bookshelves, so you can put like an entire single series or multiple short series on one thing. Really easy to find, and yeah, I like that little bit of customization you can do.
I'll get to the last piece of news here, since we've been talking about news for a while, but there's a lot of it, to be fair. Toy, this was the weird one. I think this happened a couple weeks ago, but we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. Toy has announced a One Piece challenge for fans to catch up while reading a digital logbook through, I guess, the return of the anime in April, March 31st, 25, with participants earning digital certificates for each saga completed. Logs for the first 6 are already available, with more in January. I feel like this is very easy to cheat, personally, but I don't even know what you win. Wasn't there something that you win? Adil didn't tell me if there was.
The certificate is in your heart.
Oh. Let's see. Anyway, we'll probably post more about that on our social media, which, by the way, we mentioned this last time, but I'll say quickly, we're not really active on Twitter anymore for the most part, so please check us out on Blue Sky at onepiecepodcast.com. Easy to remember. Also, our website. Also, actually, one last thing if you're listening, and this is a website-related news. Kirsten, we're going to try out a pilot program. She's going to be writing reviews and analyses of each chapter the week it comes out. She just sent me hers just now, and I'm just going to take a look at it when we're done with the show. So that might be out before you're listening to this, or before this publishes. So let us know what you think about those and the many other things we're doing on the website, including Greg's treatise, which I think the final part is coming out this week. So check out all 80 pages of that, called The End of One Piece. With that, I am super excited to get into this chapter. I know you wouldn't know it from all the talking about other things, but I'm ready to get into it. Are you guys?
Hell yeah.
Let's do
it.
Good. With your permission, I shall continue. I don't know why I said that. This is the Manga Recap, chapter 1132 for Adventure in Elbaph. You could read this chapter and all chapters as soon as they come out at shonenjump.viz.com or mangaplus.shueisha.co.jp. I guess. Oh, Joey, do you want to go through the cover story page for us since you're going to be going first?
Sure. Yeah. This is Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 19, Udon Castle under reconstruction at the quarry. And that's what you see is what you get. It's the castle is under construction at the quarry.
My son would love this, but there's not enough trucks.
Yeah, not a lot of trucks.
Sorry, I have a toddler brain at this point. That's all I'm looking for. No, this is nice. I guess it's interesting. I guess that Udon is redeveloping, but not surprising.
I'm trying to remember. Of course, I was just rereading this, but I was trying to remember if the smokestack factories used to be like billowing smoke during the Wano arc when they were active. If that maybe
I think so
is showing that they're dormant now, which it's nice, I guess.
What was that?
That's funny. That's the exact thing that I like hooked into with this as well. So it was like kind of interesting to think about like these active factories just kind of hanging out there and still being kind of a reminder of where Wano still has to, eventually recover from all that stuff.
I mean, if you think about it, these are really inconveniently placed factories. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot of work to get them down.
Unless they have elevators, yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know why they perch them on top of these karsts, but whatever. Any other comments on Horselina and Yamato's crazy adventure? All right, Joey, you could start the chapter off for us then. Let's get the adventure started.
On the first comics page here, we hear a woo, which I assume is someone honking on a horn or something, and announcing their arrival. And from the shore, someone says, "It's the Great Eric," I guess the name of that ship. The giant pirates have returned. And that's this little youngster that we'll get into in a second. And the kind of cute bartender lady here saying, "Isn't that great? What took them so long?" And now we get our first real good look at this character that we saw Shanks talking to a while back, right? Cullen, the child of Elbaph.
That's a good child of Elbaph.
Colin. It's Colin. He's a child, It's just something.
Yeah, he's the one kid.
He's that kid,
They're not making a lot of babies there at Elbaph, I guess.
Born
to be
from
fair,
the dirt.
They did kill one kid, so because.
Yeah, and he's great. I love his character design. It's very reminiscent of Vicky the Viking, which I'm sure we'll be recalling from time to time throughout this arc. But as listeners probably remember, that's a inspiration that Oda has pointed to in the past for One Piece. So really cool, cute little character here, and he's yelling out, "Hey, captains, are you gonna drink at the pub?" To which is this Dory or Brogy? Brogy. Okay, Brogy gives a big X. No way. Sorry. Batsu.
Emergency. Wait, that's not the right thing.
And this upsets Cullen, saying, "Oh no, they're going straight up." But the bartender here says that is a smart decision because they've got guests with them, and once they start drinking, they'll be here for 3 whole days. So guys know how to party. And on the next page, she continues that if you're going up to the Sun World too, I've got Ripley's favorite here. And she hands a basket over and a bit of Daddy's favorite too. So I guess she's Cullen's mom, perhaps?
Perhaps, yeah. There's a lot of context that is not really explained in this panel.
Yeah. Wow, thanks. So yeah, he's packing his bag there. So this is the assumption that he's going up with them as well. And I like this here. He says, "Do you know about the pirate that Captains Dory Brogy are bringing here?" I like the compound name of Dory Brogy, Dory Dash.
Yeah,
I was going to say, this is how my son refers to my grandparents. It is with a dash and they're one word. So that's how I see that. Sorry, Yeah. I'm sorry with all the kid references.
He actually did like the Japanese style abbreviations. So he called them like Doribro, like the way that you would, which is how
like a couple.
they abbreviate things. Yeah.
That's the
Wait, are there
short
two
words like Pokemon?
Are there shippers for Dory and Brogy? Now, this is the question I have.
Probably.
We don't have the right
be out there.
folks on, I feel like,
Yeah,
this
they
week.
call them the Great Eric.
I'll write it down.
He says that this pirate that they're bringing along has been named one of the 4 emperors, so we're officially back down to 4 here. Even Captain Redhair was talking about him. And we see a little flashback panel of Shanks saying not to forget the name Straw Hat Luffy. And then Cullen is off with his little bindle on a stick in his backpack. And from inside, they're reminding him to tell the captains that they'll deliver snacks for their feast later. Yeah, sure. And then we cut to Hyruden here saying, "Oh, look, it's the Great Eric. Our timing's perfect. The rainbows just touched down. Let's ride their coattails."
I do like the idea that everyone might just have completely ordinary names, like Colin and Eric for a ship. Still, does not strike fear in my heart personally. And on the next page, a rainbow, a pretty rainbow, a huge rainbow. So we see what was in that big 2-page spread. Feels like a few years ago we saw this. That we see that giant sword sticking through the tree and a giant, very well-defined rainbow coming out of the sword or the cannons, whatever's up there. And the whole crew that remains on the Thousand Sunny comments on it. And you see Brooke, never felt a rainbow so close before. And you have Bonnie here saying, it's really bright and solid. And Bonnie remains in her true form, let's say, through all of this. You have Robin with bangs, staring there with bangs. And
they're still there.
Queen.
I was scared that he'd forget or that they wouldn't be there. Jimbei said, they really supposed to be visible at this angle. And you have the remaining Vegapunk. Oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Lilith.
Oh my God.
It's been a few weeks.
No, I hear every One Piece fan throwing things at me, particularly Sam, saying, it's such a mysterious and beautiful sight every time I see it. I had a conversation on Discord about this. Stella, the original Vegapunk, went to Elbaph to research the Void Century as at some point in the past. So they have been here as a collective thing. And it looks like Brogy decides to indulge us, saying that, isn't it wondrous? We draw them with these painters.
There's the Sunstone.
There's a Sunstone. So is it a prism or is it like something they draw?
Based on the way it looks, I would assume that it is some kind of prismatic power that these stones have that enables them to be solid rainbows.
I got big dial energy from these.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
they could, I'm assuming these painters could do a couple of different things.
Localized tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool.
Alex, you want to do the second part of this page, since there's lots of Dory and Brogy?
Sure. This is, let's see, 4 or 5.
Do we know this? Do we know what this guy's name is?
This rando? Yeah.
He kind of looks like Jacob Wysocki a little bit.
I have to look that up.
Yeah.
He's an improv comedian. Anyway, he's saying, "We're nearing the foot. Ready to go, captains." And
he does, and I know who that is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And Brogy sort of dips down a little bit and tells the remaining Straw Hat crew, "Whoops, you better grab onto us now." And Dory says that the ship's going to go vertical. And for a crew that has been to a Sky Island,
well,
to be fair,
only one of them has.
One of them has.
That's true.
And she's the one comforting the kids. So.
Yeah. Well, they're like, vertical, why? And before anybody can answer, they go vertical. And the ship appears to be moving up like it were on a knock-up stream. What's happening? Time to go up. And one of the giants says, I guess we didn't explain this yet, did we? The Elbaph villages are on top of that tree. So we go right up this rainbow to get there. We'll have a grand feast when we arrive. And I would be in the same situation as Frankie. He says, no, not that part. Explain about the rainbow. What's the ship
Pragmatist, probably.
Yeah. And Jewelry Bonnie, little freaking know-it-all, says rainbows are caused by the refraction of light passing through rainbows.
I think that's Robin, actually.
Oh, that is Robin.
Yeah, I think it is Robin.
I think Bonnie's the one that's saying, what is the ship riding on?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's kind of almost like the Robin's like just dry sense of humor, almost like, well, Frankie, don't you know that rainbows are caused like that?
In this case, she's basically Neil deGrasse Tyson, ruining everybody's fun.
Finally, Neil deGrasse Tyson joins the Straw Hats. There you go.
And Dorian Berge, this is exactly what I wanted them to say. Blah, 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 blah. What nonsense are you saying? You can ride on rainbows. And
Kermit starts.
Yeah.
That rainbow connection, yeah.
And you can taste them, too.
You can taste. That's true. Let's get these in here.
So the Kermit, more like cue the Mario Kart Rainbow Road music instead. Or for Thor fans, the Bifrost music, whatever they played in the first Thor movie. I don't remember. Yeah, we have their ship, the Great Eric, sailing on this rainbow. Everyone on the Straw Hats are like, we're really riding on it. And assuming this is, I'm assuming it's Brody going, ga ba 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 ba. It's a tailwind, perfect rainbow sailing weather. There's no resistance to the flow, so once you've rowed a bit, the rainbow carries you the rest of the way. And now we actually get like little small SD Straw Hats and the speech bubbles here, so we can tell who's actually talking this time. So Jinbei goes, I bet Luffy and the others will lose their minds when they see this. And Brooke says, I think I've lost my mind already. Yo-ho-ho-ho! And
yeah, like
all the
50
hits,
years ago.
Yeah, all the hits with Frankie going, me too, ow! Doing his almost said it's super, but that's his other little catchphrase that we have. And then Robin and Bonnie, Robin acting very big sister energy here with all the sparklers for the ship happening around. It's very very cute if you want. Bonnie goes, wow, it's like sailing on a sea of colors. Even the sparkly sound makes it pretty. Robin says, there are so many things still to learn about the world. And I'm assuming this is Brooke saying, time to ship out Binks's brew.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was Brooke. I assume because we've just
suspect number one.
Yeah. With the music note hanging out there too at the end of the speech bubble.
Yeah, but I mean, we know from the Roger flashback that it's a well-known song, and it made me really wonder. I assume as well, but yeah.
Any kind of adventure, Brooke will use any kind of excuse to sing Binks's brew. Like, oh, did we find a lucky coin? Time to sing Binks's brew. Let's go.
Hey, when you have a hit, you have a hit.
Yeah. All right, some more of the giants here accompanying the ship. Hey, Captain Dory Brogy, is Straw Hat there? Well, whose ship is that but Hyrodin at Stanson? Oh, it's been a while, Hyrodin. Good to see you, bud. And then Frankie does his super pose, yelling out Cyborg. And a close-up on Hyrodin and Strusen. I see, so Straw Hat's coming a bit later.
No, I think. Wait, sorry. I think Hyrodin's yelling out Cyborg. Like,
they're like, "Hey, Cyborg!"
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Frankie was the one who said, "It's been a while. Good to see you."
Sorry, although Frankie would do that too.
That's true. So Hyrodin says, "I see. So Straw Hat's coming a bit later." And then Strusen says, "We hunted a moose just for him." Ah, moose is tasty stuff. I'm getting hungry already. Then Hyrodin comments back, only if there's leftovers. This is for the Straw Hat crew. Yeah, fair enough. And everyone's sailing across the sparkly rainbow bridge.
Boy, they're really building up this moose, meal of moose, so that they, it's been a multi-chapter affair here.
Well, we saw them hunt it, and it was that moose from Strong World that was also a dinosaur, right?
Right. Yeah, it was a reptilian moose. It was horrifying.
I mean, I like that. No chapter makes me just realize we're in black and white than one where they're going on a rainbow. Like this beautiful, cool, imaginative, all that. But I'm just like, oh, come on.
But it's so good. I love the sparkles that are rendered with the whiteout and stuff,
and the way that he does the shading on on Bonnie and Robin's upper body, so that you can tell they're like the light is coming from below and they're shaded on top. Yeah, it's cool.
It's so good. You can really tell it's like shimmering, and I like the detail of being able to see a little bit of the boat underneath the rainbow, like where it's kind of sailing within it, which is really cool. And just talk about like what a slap my forehead moment where it's like, of course, to get to Elbaph they have to ride the rainbow bridge. Like, that's amazing. Like, we all observed those rainbows in the big Elbaph reveal, but like I at least had no idea that they were going to actually ride up one. That's so good.
I never
really
would
like sweet.
Yeah.
It also goes to show you that, like, every time we're in, I don't know, a really long arc, you forget that the One Piece world is basically a if this then what. Because like it seems so obvious. Of course, if you can ride on clouds, then you can definitely ride on a rainbow. But it wasn't like it didn't hit me until I saw that. Until I saw that spread, and I was like, I like how that has a different consistency than the cloud, than the sea clouds do too.
I kind of like the setup. Like going off what you said, I love what you said because it's kind of right how there's a setup on the previous panel where we even have someone like starting to be like, oh, this is how rainbows are formed, and it just hard cuts to this like, screw your science, this is awesome and fun. We can ride.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I guess on the following page here, we go back to the rope bridge connecting the underworld and sun world. And we see Gerd and Goldberg. They are running along. Goldberg's got the Sunny held up over his head like a bomb from Batman 69 or whatever, the famous scene where he's running around with the bomb. Anyways, Luffy's like, the Sunny, hey, that's our ship. As they're looking down, he's looking down from the branch, and they both notice him. The giants notice him, like, and here he is now, cradled in Gerd's hands, and she's like, oh, you must be Luffy. And she's thinking to herself, he's so cute. I love little humans. Oh, but not like him. I'm not like that weirdo Rodo. I don't want to lock you up. I just want to be friends. And Goldberg is like, Gerd, that's not really the point right now. And she's like, oh, sorry. So we get the picture here that Gerd also has a fascination, but it is at least here portrayed as a healthy fascination rather than an unhealthy one.
Well, healthier.
Healthier, yeah. And she is describing like, oh, I know all about you. You were brought here against your will. And that was because of that weirdo I know against my will. I'm so sorry about that. And then Luffy is like, oh, you mean that bonehead guy? Which was really funny because he says it literally in Japanese, like it just literally like bone and head, because he's talking about the antler skull. But I thought it was really funny that it actually works as a double entendre in English. So that was fun. And Goldberg says, you just flew up from the underworld. Did you fall down there? And for some reason, this has a dramatic effect on Luffy, who
I love the sound effect though.
He's like, huh? And then he thinks back here to something we didn't see. But apparently towards the close of his scene with Loki, which we very clearly did not see the end of or the entirety of, Loki says, don't tell anyone about meeting me or our little promise. You got that, Luffy? So Luffy has made some kind of arrangement with Loki, and he is trying to wiggle his way out of it. And he's reacting like that kid from the Vine where he's like, the fucking, that, I don't know. And, Goldberg is like, Hey, it's too cold to be sweating that much. Don't worry about it, man. We're just glad you're all right. So he is mercifully not pressing Luffy on that.
Luffy's a bad liar.
Yeah.
You've heard it here first. Alex.
So now we are in Elbaph's Sunworld, which is the second level. And we've heard, now I found you. At last, come to me, my perfect little live dolls. And who else could that be but Roto? What a gross-looking guy. Nami and Chopper eke, and he lunges towards them. He says, quickly, before everyone else finds out, I have to lock you up more securely than before, so I can keep you for my life, my ultra-rare Nami and ultra-rare Chopper. And before he can do anything else, he goes, which I guess is the sound you make when a giant trooper...
When's the last time we've
That's
had...
a real Fist of the North Star sound right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oda used to do these... Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Oda used to do these a lot. The I'm getting hit, or this is... Or it was the Alana Dressrosa with the death squeal thing in a less comedic way. But, yeah, no, this is great.
That's right, yeah.
The thing is, I can't really tell if they chopped the tree so that it fell on his head or if they just chopped it so that it made a little trap. And I think he just ran face first into it. Yeah. It's a little confusing.
It's weird because it looks like it connects to the like mound of earth on the other side where Sanji's standing.
Here's what I thought. I thought it was a vine because you could kind of see it going around in the back all the way on the right. And I assume they just snap the vine back. Like, when you hit a branch on someone, like to be an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I assume happened there, except on a different scale. Yeah, that was my interpretation, but I really had to think about it. I didn't think it was immediately obvious.
There's that cut part there. So maybe like Zoro cut it and Sanji kicked the top so it would fall in the right position or something.
That's how I saw it. Alex, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, how I would see it is I think that maybe they cut a tree from the branch and Zoro could have been holding it. So it sort of like slaps him in the face like a slingshot. I don't know. Anyway, however he hits his face, Nami mentions that even animals wouldn't fall for that trap. And Usopp says that Zoro and Sanji overdid it. I wish we knew what they overdid, but that's okay. And Zoro says, hey, we didn't get in trouble. We didn't even touch him. Sanji says, I want to get going. Or let's get going. I want to see this land of giants now. Like a Hanna-Barbera villain, goes, curse you, tiny humans. And Gerd and Goldberg are catching up from behind. They mentioned that the Straw Hats are over there as well. And Roto, it seems like Nami and Chopper are not the only collectibles he wishes to have in his life. He says, that sounds like my ultra-rare Gerd. Perhaps she's come to rescue me. And Goldberg and Gerd smack Roto in the back of the head with the blunt edge of their weapons, saying, stop right there, Roto, you freak. And he makes an even more belabored sound.
I like also that he observes the first rule of like comic pratfalls, which is if you run into something or smack something in a comical way, you have to remain in the same position the next time we see you, just so you know that you're holding the the effect in.
Yeah, so good.
I know it's not the attack, but it reminded me of Little Garden when they launched the ship through the giant goldfish. The double.
Nice. Oh yeah, the double attack.
Kind of like
through his ass.
You're giving too much credit to Oda there, probably. But yes, that is reminiscent.
And yes, so the other Straw Hats now, they see, of course, the arrival of Gerd, and Goldberg, and that means that Sanji has to go, wow, a giant babe. And Zoro's just like, see, now the evidence of our attack is gone. So they've gotten away with it. It was the perfect crime. Usopp's like, oh, good point. And Nami sees that Luffy is there, and he does his best sloth here. Hey, you guys. And it's Luffy.
Thank you. That's exactly what I heard.
Okay, good. Never miss an opportunity to call back to that. So yeah, we have this big, very talky panel here where Luffy jumps down from Gerd, and the whole crew is reacting. Oh, the Sunny's here too. And she says, hello there, you must be the Straw Hat crew. I'm Gerd, and this is Goldberg. We're Hyruden's friends. I'm so sorry you had to go through that scary experience. Don't worry, we'll be escorting you from here. And Sanji is, heart's aflutter. Woo! So Gerd's going to show us around. And someone, I guess it's Nami, saying, we didn't know what happened to us, referring to, of course, all of the, I would assume, all of the nonsense in the castle that they went through. And Gerd says, oh, I'll explain and make him pay for it. Which they're like, okay. And there's a nice big old lump on the back of Roto's head there. And Luffy is, back in sync with Usopp. Let's go, Usopp! The Elbaph village is supposed to be on this level. And Usopp's like, yeah, I can't wait to see it. So they are charging off, leaving a trail of dust behind. And Gerd calls out, just go straight through these woods and you'll reach the clouds. Hitch a ride and you'll see the village. And then she says, let's go after them. And then she scoops them up. So this is the second giant bosom that these Straw Hats have been cradled in after Brogy. But this one, of course, Sanji is much more excited about. Luffy and Usopp are now zooming off. They jump off the edge of this little lip of the tree and onto some clouds. Whoa, it's island clouds. Wait, what if they're not? But hey, she said we could ride them. So yeah, they're safe and sound walking on the clouds. And then Luffy sees something. Wow. And we go back to the giant pirates ship where they're on the Rainbow, along with Hyruden's little, much smaller ship. Once we pass these clouds, you'll see it. And Brogy explains here, Elbaph has 3 levels. Starting from the top, it's the Astral World, Sun World, and Underworld. And we have a helpful little diagram there, just kind of showing that basically, as we could mostly surmise already, that there is a top level of the tree, there's the bigger middle level, and then, of course, the ground is the Underworld. And Dory says, we live on the Sun World where the sun's rays reach. There are a number of villages there. It's too big to see all of it at once, but that's our village over there. And much like Luffy, Robin here, this is very clearly paralleling the panel up further on the page. She also goes, wow. And what do they see?
Yeah, so they come together coincidentally here on Elbaph, and we see our first real look at Elbaph, not made of Legos. We see the village where Big Mom lived, I assume, with the thatch houses.
Yes, I believe the that little like lookout tower with the like Lincoln log looking structure next to the right of the castle, that was very prominently featured in the Vinland's flashback.
And I know the ones with like the skull head things in the middle of the thatch, the X.
Yes.
Definitely were. It looks very familiar, although that was 64 years ago, so things change. And we see a castle in the background. I am assuming we are seeing but a small part of even Elbaph here, versus the huge look we got a few weeks ago at the end. I did not notice until just now, but there is Luffy and Gerd on a cloud. On the left side of the page, you have a big Dadoom on the background going straight through one of the rainbows. You got any other things that I'm missing here that I should be pointing at?
I mean, it's a nice detail is that Oda's planted some giants throughout the town, so you get kind of a scale of everything. And these houses are huge, like even by giant standards. Like, it makes me wonder, like, what kind of buildings are these? How many people maybe live in each of these, and things like that.
So
I really
ahead.
love the detail of like the moss on the
yes,
on the roofs.
And on the bridges and just like it's well done. Go assistance.
It looks sort of like if Uderzo drew Rivendell.
The thing that made me think of it is like, it looks like Oda built this in Animal Crossing. You know, it's just like.
I mean, I bet you he did.
Yeah, because like you can see him carefully planting each of these buildings, and and I like the one that's in the water on the left side. Yeah. It's a very cool detail.
I also like the little, like, I guess hollowed out sort of under walkway on the right side.
Yeah.
That's a cool little touch. No idea what it does or if it's meaningful, but it's just a cool visual thing.
Yeah. And I love how rich the blacks are, and especially underneath the bridge in there. And you see some little cross-hatching. It's just a really well-done spread.
I wonder how much of this was the assistants versus Oda, because it is really gorgeous, I assume. Oh, and there's those mountains we always talked about back in Whole Cake Island that look all weird.
This doesn't look like a manga at all.
No.
Like, more so than usual. Like, it's very...
That's good. It's not, for this arc particularly.
No, I love that. I love that about it.
To me, it gives, like, not taking the size into account, it gives, like, low-key, that first town you come across in Skyrim meets the Shire. Like, it's got this peaceful yet Nordic vibe to it. And maybe this is just dumb how my brain works. I'm like, okay, these are giants with giant buildings, and we see birds that look normal sized. So there's now an implication of this whole ecosystem that just is gargantuan.
I think they've already implied that since we had the cat and the rabbit and all those. I think it's possible that the birds are an interesting touch, because the birds could come from anywhere and live anywhere. So are they just giant seagulls roaming the world?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And
probably.
I've seen them on color spreads.
That's true. That's true.
And then there's
that's
the question,
where they came from.
Are their cells giant, or are their cells regular size? Do I just need a magnifying glass to see them?
Okay, now we're getting into the...
I will say on that topic... But... On that topic, our editor for the manga was complaining to me that, like, it doesn't really help the gigantification of everything if everything else is also as large as the giants are, because then they just look like normal humans. And I do get a little bit of that, but it's got to be a really difficult thing to portray.
I mean, I think,
but everything has this very, like, pleasing, like, kind of like exaggerated scale, like the way that the hatching on the roofs and stuff it looks exaggerated, which I think helps it look big. When Alex was saying that it doesn't look like manga art, like, I was kind of looking at it from that perspective, and it does kind of like maybe remind me more of like fantasy, like classic fantasy illustration, or like Euro comics. Going back to Vicky the Viking, I think it's possible that Oda was pointing to some of that stuff and showing his assistants that he wanted something that looked along those veins.
Wasn't there Alex or Steven? I remember Greg sent a book into Oda that he said and it was, I think, European.
Some kid's book with a lot of detail. Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we know Oda has a lot of books in his house, or office, so it could really be anything. But that does come to mind. I also, for the scale, I think it's less that everything. I mean, it's both, but for me, Oda's job isn't to make the giants look huge necessarily, but to make the Straw Hats look tiny, like they're inhabiting a world because they're the giants in like Little Garden. That is them looking big in a world that is not meant for them. This is kind of the opposite, which is a challenge. Because why would they be going into little buildings? They need regular sized buildings because they're giants. And also what's interesting is since they're on a giant tree, it makes the giants look tiny because they're living in a tree. That's usually something you think of, like, Keebler elves or something like that. Little tiny tontadas or whatever it is, little people. But no, here they're giants living in a tree. It's kind of a cool inversion. I wonder how it's going to work, but practically speaking, but
I think there's like to go off of what Joey was saying about the sort of exaggeration. There's almost like a Nintendofication of the design elements, where like everything it is kind of cutesy, but it's also exaggerated slightly, not to an incredible degree, but like I think the way that he does a lot of very noticeable like elevation differences between the different steps, like just to kind of make the scale seem larger, even though like from the giant's perspective it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. Like trying to put it all into perspective as a human-sized person makes it seem way bigger and crazier, even though like they're not really that far apart to each other. So I think he did a really good job of crafting that look.
I'll say,
looking at
go ahead.
Looking at like the different buildings, and the one on the far right there that a couple people seem to be going into, like it's the little things that you sort of think about, like what do the markings on the front of that building mean, like that are etched into those beams, because they're not present on any other
the cool S's
any other building.
Isn't that what you draw in class?
Yeah,
I like the idea of that's on your desk.
This is the cool hall for all the cool people.
Yeah, that's where the popular kids go.
The No Homers Club. They're allowed to
no Dories. I don't know why Dory. No Rotos. That's the club.
They should have 0.
They should have 0.
Not even 1.
No, this is gorgeous. I want to live here. I love Scandinavian architecture and all this stuff, and Viking stuff, and the moss, as you mentioned, and the underground passages and the waterfalls going off of the edge of like these endless cliffs and the clouds beneath. I really do adore this, and it's also emotional because as we continue, we see Usopp and Luffy from long ago, back in chapter 129, I think, because I think Steve guessed that, celebrating that one day they will go to Elbaph, and see the warriors of Elbaph, and Luffy looks in awe. He had just said whoa, so I'm not going to say silently. And you have Usopp just crying his manly tears. This already, I think, is a real not comeuppance. It's a real not come to Jesus. I'm losing my metaphor.
Come to Odin moment. I got you.
No, it's. What I was trying to say is we discussed a few weeks back, like, will Usopp have the same thing as Frankie had in Egghead, where he doesn't really get his arc. I think already just this spread really brings it home in a really emotional way for me. Like, this is like Usopp's witnessing his dream, which we really haven't gotten to this degree in the series, and as we all know, Straw Hat's dream is very important to them. So, yeah, I very much enjoyed that.
And as always, he's keeping it together, playing it cool.
Oh, yeah. That's the joke from Odin.
Brave warrior of the sea.
Yeah. The joke from the Odin flashback and they, of course, we never shed cried. No tears. Yeah. We never cried. And meanwhile, so we get the beginning of a first person narrative here as it begins. To be in the presence of the gargantuan is to know emotion. Who can possibly put the sight into words that convey its grandeur? And Daniel, what happens next?
This is Elphaba. Or, Jesus.
This is Elphaba.
You had one job. I just watched Wicked.
No, that's wonderful.
God.
No, that's
popular, actually. They did defy gravity.
Elbaph Island, the kingdom of Warland. But most simplify the matter by just using the name Elbaph for the land of the giants. And then I should just try to complete this narration and then roll back to it, or should I go through what's going on?
I was going to suggest that. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so just roll through?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Plants, trees, vines, flowers, insects, fish, birds, and animals. Everything is breathtakingly huge. Adventurers do not regret your lost time here. However, if there is one message you take away from my account of the gigantic and mystical land of Elbaph, let it be this word of warning. Do not overstay your welcome here. Louis Arnott, the Explorer.
Should first go through what's actually happening on the page.
Yeah.
Did I make a mistake here?
No. That's how we would have. That's how I would have done it. So yeah,
Okay,
you could do whatever you want.
I'm dyslexic, so if you're about to be like, actually, that's Lois, I was gonna be like, damn. All right.
No, I think you were good except for
Alpede.
Okay, go ahead.
Lois Griffin, Explorer.
I think we get pretty similar reactions amongst the crew, most looking shock and awed. Specifically, Chopper's eyes are doing the whole light thing. The only person who looks a little bit different in the reaction, I would say, is Zoro. But you know, I think that's just him being Zoro. I don't think there's anything like.
He actually looks like he's in awe, which for Zoro is an emotion.
Yeah, there you go. He's just a little more reserved awe.
He had to take off his really nerdy goggles that suck.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we're gonna get into how cool those are later. 'Cause disagree.
He's like, confession, I can't really see out of these, so
I only have one good eye.
True.
But then we see, I believe, Frankie saying, "Hey, Straw Hat. Oh, Luffy's group." Oh wait, no, that's not Frank saying. Oh yeah, it is Frankie saying that. Luffy's group is here. We've been looking for you.
Hiruden, I think, is the one saying, "Hey, Straw Hat."
Yeah, you know.
To be fair, it is. Yeah.
Oh, is that him? Oh, sorry.
No. It's not.
It's tough to tell.
It's not simple.
They're all talking from different ships and locations here.
Yeah, you kind of have to know where each thing is coming from. Yeah.
The next one is coming from that seagull. So.
You know what? I didn't even see Luffy is in that panel. He's just very tiny.
Yep.
Wait, he is? Where?
He's on the cloud.
He's on the cloud.
He's a speck with some lines coming out of it.
Gerd right next to the Bach. Bubble.
Wow.
And then
totally missed that.
To be fair, I missed it until just this moment, and I hear fans yelling at me, how could you do a podcast if you missed that speck on that cloud over there? And to them I say,
Watch me.
Watch me. Forget. I didn't have anything prepared there in response.
All right. Well, then we get, did you guys just get here? Ha ha ha! Glad we found you. It worked out in the end. And I think this marks the 958 millionth time our crew has reunited.
True.
And then we get, that is, oh man, when they distort the faces, it gets even harder. I think that's Chopper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sanji.
Nope.
No, who's
Sanji's not even looking.
Look at the nose.
Oh, it's Usopp. And then the third one there, I can't even tell.
That's the captain.
It's Luffy.
It's the captain.
I forget his name, but I think he comes up a few
Monkey
times.
something or other. Yeah.
He was in the parade this year, I know. Goku.
Okay. All right. What?
Captain Ron.
Captain Ron, there it is.
What? Are you guys riding a rainbow? And so they're all just, geeking out over what we've seen. And then we get another beautiful panel here that shows a fantastic bear, and a gorgeous little landscape, just kind of emphasizing that this is a whole, living, breathing, gargantuan world. I need someone to do the math on how much oxygen these plants are putting out.
Wait. There's a silhouette at the bottom of this?
Yeah.
Panel,
Indeed.
which I'm just noticing for the first time.
Oh, it's got a little hat on, like a Wano hat.
And some fur on the back or hair, perhaps. Yeah.
A little finally.
Shuffling sound effect.
This is that guy from the end of the chapter from 7 years ago.
It's Gabon. It's got to be Gabon. That's his ponytail.
Yeah, I'm so ready for this because I'm so sick of hearing people be like, who was drinking with Crocus? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? I'm pretty sure it's this guy, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if it's this guy, then I would say it's Yorkie, but we'll see. I don't know.
How many reunions can we put into one arc?
A lot. Oh, everyone gets a reunion. Robin, you get a reunion. Luffy, you get and so on.
But we also get one final in the black panel in the background. We get a giant doom effect. So I'm kind of confused by this warning, and I would love to know what your all's like interpretations are, because we've had mentions of 3 days down below, and now we're getting a don't overstay your welcome. So is this like a ticking clock element being introduced?
They're werewolves. The giants are actually werewolves.
Yeah, I think there's something yet to be revealed that we will be finding out.
Yeah, that's what I assume.
Yeah.
It's definitely reminiscent of the point in Skypiea where like Nami wanders off with the Waver, and then she stumbles across Upper Yard, the giant jungle area, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually this is way more dangerous than we thought. It's not this perfect cloudy wonderland that we thought it was. And so I think this is his way. It
never is.
Right, it never is. I think this is his way of just reminding us, like, oh yeah, we're going to get into there's going to be some gnarly stuff in this arc that this wonderful vision of the village of Elbaph is not revealing to us yet. Which is
if you
exciting.
stay there for too long, you'll get to the end of a 3-day bender where they've been drinking for 3 days straight, and things turn real bad.
Yeah. We're in Las Vegas.
Oh no, we don't need a season 12 Simpsons episode. Yeah, I also wanted to note, and I think this was pointed out by a fan, Louis Arnaud, obviously not a real person, but the creator of the very famous Bragman series, and by famous I mean existing fictionally in the One Piece world, introduced at the beginning of Little Garden 115, chapter 115, I think, as the I don't have the exact line in front of me, but I could read it a little later. That I did not put two and two together, but I knew the name sounded familiar. Bragman is kind of much like Scott Gabon has taken on this otherworldly meaning, especially for old timey fans like us. I guess that will.
It's the name of a gym.
The One Piece gym in Japan.
Yeah,
they named it after him.
Did we mention each of the Sanji's ridiculous face and the rest? Anyway,
Sanji's face
no one had a different reaction. Sanji, I guess, decided to take a nap.
He's enjoying his own personal Elbaph right now.
Yeah,
Frankie and Zoro are doing. Frankie and Zoro
are doing the giants, indeed.
Sorry,
he's enjoying it so much his hand is not drawn that great.
Well, he's got. I think he has the gloves on, right?
Yeah, or it's moving ferociously. Yeah. I don't know. I'll take that back. Frankie and Zoro doing the same exact glasses pose. I didn't realize until just now.
Oh yeah, they are.
This is what I get for having kids, that I just have not read this chapter close enough, and I'm noticing all the things as we go through them, which is not my usual. That'll do for the chapter. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, sorry. Also, Nami and Jinbei have never had a more similar expression. I'm seeing just a little bit there. Same angle and everything. And then we got a slight turn, and then Robin, same thing above.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Oda still needs a little more bangs practice, but improvement still.
They're getting brushed by the wind. It's okay.
I'm not going to lie. Robin looks like the last time I tried to chop my own bangs. It's not a good look.
Wow.
Okay, you have some very controversial opinions here.
No, we'll see you next year.
We'll see.
No, I want to maintain. I think that the bangs look is good for Robin. I just think the way it's drawn in that specific panel, it looks a little like, oh, someone's like last time you just took scissors to your forehead kind of thing.
I think Oda, we talked
like
a lot about
skeleton
this.
cut them.
I think the only truly good looking, well, there's a couple. I think the earlier pages in this chapter do a little bit of a better job than that one. Yeah, sure. A little messiness. Anyway, the manga's back next week, right?
It is.
That's a shock. That's really the shock of the end of the chapter.
This time it is not a surprise no chapter week. We will have a chapter next week.
Oh, yeah, you could say for sure. The rest of us don't know. The rest of us are just on faith. So thoughts on this chapter? Steven, let's start with you this week. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was a great chapter. We got a ton of exposition. We got a lot of like some of the most fun part of any of the big adventure arcs, especially for ones where we're not going to like an abandoned government lab or some other very dire situation, but instead going to like a fully realized and inhabited cultural space where you get to see like, oh wow, here's this larger than life in multiple ways than one. Larger than life sort of playground that the Straw Hats are going to inhabit for the next however long, and getting to see all of the the sort of wondrous tools and items and creative uses that Oda has come up with. That's always really exciting, and I think this one did not disappoint in that regard. It was a lot of fun. It was even fun to see, like, I guess to see the relationship between Roto and the rest of the giant pirates sort of established as like, yeah, he is kind of the whipping boy of the group, or the odd man out, which was funny. But yeah, this is just a great table setter. I think I loved the speech, the citation from Louis Arnault. That was a really cool callback, which made perfect sense. Having seen that in Little Garden first, bringing it back around was a great choice. And I thought it was just a great introduction to the village of Elbaph. Loved it.
Daniel, defend your bangs position. No, I mean, what were your thoughts on the chapter?
It's a good introduction to the environment chapter. For pages 14 and 15 in my head, I just had the Jurassic Park music going for some reason. It's
really good choice.
Thank you. I don't know if that's offensive to the Giants, but I'm not. We'll move past that.
There is the foreboding at the end, like something's going to happen, even though it looks all cool. And
it's John Williams for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good introduction to a new environment. I'm kind of hoping to see some really fun play with action sequences within an environment that our crew is so tiny in. There could definitely be some cool opportunities there, especially if Luffy's gonna, I don't know, get some more expanding scenes, or if we'll just go straight to his Super Saiyan. But I love the architecture. I want to see more. As I'm kind of drawn to the interiors of the castle, things along those lines. I just really hope we do a lot of exploring of more of the detailed environments, because we got so much of that on Egghead that I'm just I'm hoping he's not burnt out from doing really cool interiors.
Yeah, super agree there. Anything else about the chapter?
I still think the fits from the last arc were better, and I'm a little disappointed by these ones. Another controversial opinion. I'm sorry.
The last arc or the last chapter?
Egghead outfits better than these outfits, in my opinion.
Again, controversial opinion that I very strongly disagree with. But everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I mean, Egghead was controversial. There was a lot of disagreement. Some people love Egghead's outfits, and some people hate him. So
yeah,
it's certainly understandable that some people would like him more.
I personally disagree, but I also don't have any fashion sense whatsoever, so I'm not going to
Thank you, Stephen. I forgive you about Wanda.
Speaking of fashion statements, I guess this is because it's called Warland, but we got to shout out the bar lady who just has her war apron on. Very
gotta represent.
I don't know what you're saying about that.
War. The rest of it says, "What is it good for?" Yeah. Since Alex laughed at my joke, Alex, you could go next.
Great. I'm glad that we get to see Elbaph. This is a great chapter. I really loved it. The rainbow thing really got me. I think the idea of sailing on a rainbow is such like make believe bullshit that is just charged full of imagination that like I just keep thinking like this is what One Piece is about, like this goofy shit right here. It's just really exciting to see like this far into the series a new thing like that's a part of the world. And it makes me a little sad that we didn't get Elbaph a little sooner, just because, you know, we're learning about a whole new culture here, like the painters and like the 3 levels. I think it's such a man. I'm just really, really excited for the deep world building that this arc has to offer. At the very least, I think we'll get that out of it, even if it doesn't end up being, you know, quote unquote Usopp's like big arc. Which, you know, I think he'll have somewhat of a role to play in. That bear, by the way, at the end is the bear that Luffy fights in Strong World.
I think that bear is very distracting.
It is.
It's like central placement and heavy shadows.
He needs a knife, like in Venture Brothers.
Yes, that's.
Oh my god,
that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
I thought it was
he's got a knife superpower.
It should also, or it could just be the Harvey Birdman bear. I don't have Ed here to do the noise.
Oh yeah, good.
I think that would
That'd
be really
good
funny.
too.
Yeah, just slides in.
I don't think this will be as controversial an opinion, but I also just want to say it feels good to be at this part of like a new One Piece arc again. Like after spending so long in so many places, the fact that Egghead is over and we're already getting like that fresh, fun feeling of introducing characters and possible conflict, and we can like nerd out about the little details that we don't have answers to yet. That's my favorite time in like a One Piece story. So it just feels really cool to be like that quickly back at this part.
No, for sure. There's 2 other things that I want to bring up. One of which is Luffy's promise with Loki. That gives me pause and makes me super nervous that like, oh no, he already fucked up. And the other thing is the map of Elbaph is interesting. Like we know about the underworld, and now we know about the sun world, and then astral world is on top. So I wonder if that's some sort of like, I don't know, road to the stars, or perhaps it could be their version of the astral plane, or like where people go when they die. Not Stovacor, that's Klingons, but what's the
Stovacor? You're trying to think
Valhalla. Thank you.
Which you take the Rainbow Bridge to get to, right?
Yeah, Stovacor.
Stovacor, you also take a rainbow bridge of blood.
That's right. 7 different shades of red.
This is funny to 6 people. Yeah, go
on. But no, those are the 2 things that I'm like, you know, I'm kind of interested in what the astral world is, and yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't mention that the little diagram and the reference to the 3 worlds. So in Japanese, the what did they call it? The underworld is is it Meikai or is it Myokai? I think it is Meikai, but it means like darkness world, and that is an actual term that gets used for the underworld, like in Buddhist mythology, for example. And then the sun world is called yokai, which is it's not the Japanese yokai. It literally, the kanji are sun and world or realm, and then the top one is tenkai, or heavenly realm or heavenly world.
Oh, that's where they have the tenkai.
No, it's a different one. But
fine.
It is kind of interesting because it is like, I could have called it like celestial realm or the heavenly realm or something like that. There's a couple different things, but I was actually like, I was kind of hemmed in. Like I sort of had to be creative here, specifically because he just uses 3 kanji next to that little drawing of the tree. And I was like, okay, I need these all to be little like punctual, short little things that we can fit in that next to them. next to that little drawing. And so that's why I ended up with astral, where I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Cause like, yeah, it could be it could be, astrological, or it could be more like, astral plane sort of thing, like a soul area, or something like that. And we don't know what the ramifications of that is going to be. Like if there's some, extra class of giants who are considered like the Aesir, the gods or something, who live up there, or, whatever, we're going to find out about it. But, that was just some interesting choices that I had to make there.
Oh, I wanted to also mention that, I was looking at the map or the big 2-page shot of Elbaph again, and I noticed that like there's like a proper village up towards the castle, and there's like a big structure there that could be a tower, a watchout tower, or perhaps a sampo.
What's that?
Well, it's an Old Norse thing that was a Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference.
Right.
It basically you build it and it can just spew out gold, food, or it's just gold, I think. But this witch basically orders them to build a sampo, and nobody actually knows what a sampo is, so it's kind of funny.
Sampo. Yeah.
Ask for it by name.
Anything else, Alex?
No, that's it.
Sorry, no, I thought Alex was continuing. Dennis.
All right. Like everyone else said, I really like the payoff that Usopp gets to visit Elbaph. Him getting moved to tears is great. This 2-page spread. I'm going to disagree with the John Williams. I'm going to go with Howard Shore music from Lord of the Rings instead. That's what I'm going to go with. Nice. And I'm hoping,
Agreed.
I'm hoping that I don't buy a lot of these anymore because I don't have space for prints, but this would be a good 2-page like replica spread to get at the Jump store or at the Mugiwara store. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I also really liked the Bifrost Bridge thing that they had for the Rainbow Bridge stuff. I'm very curious how the Straw Hats might incorporate painters into their tech, like whether Frankie puts it in some of his gear or if Usopp updates Nami's climate act with it too. Who knows? I just like seeing the Straw Hats, take a little thing from places that they've gone to and use it for like whether it's new updates to their attacks, new updates to their tech. I think it's fun, and there could be a lot of fun with the items here. I'm also glad that Roto got his comeuppance from his fellow giant friends, and I don't know if there's some because they both have, we mentioned it during the recap. They have similar vibes, Gerd and Roto, about how they see humans, I guess, but Gerd is a lot more healthy in her somewhat obsession with how cute all the humans are in their small shapes, versus Roto, who just wants to collect them all and keep them mint in box and whatnot. But
I like that Oda is like playing with that as like an idea, the idea that some giants would be fascinated by humans, and if they're just hanging out on Elbaph most of the time, they don't get the chance to interact with him in a healthy manner like this, like Gerd gets to do. So that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, they could possibly see them as like how I react when I see a tiny dog. Just, oh, it's so cute and precious. I want to pick it up and hold it, and hold it forever and everything like that. So I can see Gerd being that type of fan of humans in a way.
Yes, tiny, hyper-intelligent dogs. Joey.
Spectacular chapter. I absolutely love this chapter. I was so excited this morning after I finished it. It was just like, oh man, One Piece is good. Elbaph is good. I'm so excited about this arc. I love that double-page spread revealing the houses and everything that we've talked about over and over again. Although now I can't help but see them as Keebler elf villages. Thank you, Zach.
Happy to do that for you.
I would say that instead of EL fudge cookies, they make Elbaph cookies.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God, there's the episode title.
Writing it down.
Because I have a sketch for it.
Okay, good. Steve does that too, so it's okay.
And I love, I echo what everyone's saying, especially Alex, about the Rainbow Road just being so like perfectly One Piece and very like, I don't know. I get sort of sick of hearing myself say this kind of thing, but it feels very classic One Piece. Like it feels old school One Piece. And I try not to be too like overly sentimental about like, One Piece used to be good and now it's different. But like, it just feels like old One Piece, in a way that was very satisfying and very makes me as an old fan feel very excited. And I think that this arc in general has kind of felt that way, especially bringing back like Dorian Broggie and the big kind of round character designs and the kind of fantastic world. It feels very like Skypiea in a way, like, traveling to this new world. Which also brings up a thing that I was wondering about. I know back when they went up to Skypiea, they said that there was another method of getting to Skypiea besides the knock-up stream, and I kind of wonder if it is this rainbow transportation. Although I mentioned that, and Steve brought up the fact that they say that the other method is also dangerous, and this doesn't seem dangerous, but maybe if you don't have the right kind of boat or something...
I mean, we've only been here for 5 seconds, too. Like, you don't know, like, the Giants could just be like, no, fuck you. We're going to, you're not going to the Sky Island. We're Giants.
Yeah, true. Maybe there is some sort of, like, patrol to keep people from using those rainbow roads or something like that. Which this kind of idea that there is something kind of more sinister here, makes sense because you have to have some sort of conflict for the story. And it kind of nags at a thing that has been in the back of my mind about Loki for a long time, is it's like he seems so obviously like the villain, but like, what if he's not? Or what if he's fighting some sort of other aspect, fighting against some sort of aspect of about Elbaph that he doesn't agree with, that maybe Luffy might also align with or something, which, the only thing that makes me not really want to believe that there's like something sinister underneath Elbaph's like cute exterior is that I wouldn't want like Dorian Broggie and the kind of lovable giant pirates to be a part of that. But maybe, I don't know. There's obviously more to be revealed at some point, but I just can't kind of shake the feeling that like at this point Loki almost seems too obviously evil to be the bad guy, but he could be. We'll see. What else? Gerd is amazing. So, I love Gerd. Welcome to the hallowed halls of One Piece crushes, Gerd. I love the like specific way that she very pleasantly jabs at Rodo and kind of throws shade in a very like I'm smiling and saying something fun, but actually I'm saying something very insulting to my crew member who I hate, who we all hate, which is fun. So yeah, Gerd rules. And let's see. And then that, yeah, let's talk maybe a little bit about that silhouette. We all kind of wanted to jump in and talk about that little silhouette guy zushing around in the foreground in that second to last panel. He does seem to me to kind of resemble that like guy that everyone wants to know who he is, who was drinking with Crocus. And then also kind of leading into this arc, there was a silhouetted character drinking that we wanted to know about. And so it seems very likely that this is that character, but we've been wrong before. But yeah, overall, really great, fun chapter. I think art's really on point. I can complain here and there about stuff, but I think that it's been really fun and a really great looking arc so far.
Did I miss anyone? Everyone else went, right?
I think we got
so, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give my 2 cents, Joey, if you're all set. Yeah, I echo everything Joey just said. This arc just feels like beginning of Skypiea vibes, beginning of even, Little Garden for obvious reasons. It's like, as I age as a One Piece fan, and the longer I am a One Piece fan, the more these sort of chapters really scratch a very certain itch, particularly post time skip. I feel like we've had some of this, but less. I feel like you could name almost the beginning of every single arc pre the war, I'd say, had this. But we've gotten it at Zoe, not really Dressrosa at all. Fishman Island and Wano, I guess, a little bit. But the big spread where you're looking at Luffy's point of view at the new setting are always some of my favorite. Again, I don't know how much Oda himself has a hand in it, but this one, goes in the annals of history with the Zoe reveal, with the Skypiea reveal, with the I'm trying to think of the Whiskey Peak one. I think pops into my head. There's a lot. Almost all the arcs have this kind of entryway, and I'm happy we finally got it. And we got we didn't even mention Adventure in the Land of here, Adventure in Elbaph, or the Warland Elbaph.
Oh yeah.
So we had Adventure in the Land of Mystery, which was our Legoland mini adventure that happened before this. But I mean, still tied in here. But we're officially now in the Land of Elbaph. And it's gorgeous. It did really I welled with emotion over the fact that this really did feel like, core One Piece. Like, this is like if you had to distill to someone like the feeling that makes you more invested in One Piece and like the thing you're really looking for, it's this kind of chapter. Was it perfect? Yeah, I could nitpick, as Joey said, but the sense of adventure and wonder, and the thing with the rainbow as being completely ridiculous, but also, of course, simultaneously really hits the nail on the head. It's that fantasy adventure that we've had such big stakes for so long. We haven't really gotten to do this sort of thing. And there's a regretful part of that, certainly, that you can't kind of relax and just have the fun, which is really the highlight for me. And the Straw Hats deserve some fun. They've been through shit over the last 2 years. So I hope they get to have fun. I hope that letter...
What?
I hope that letter is referring to that guy in the hat for staying too long. Like, they wanted to kick him out earlier. He doesn't leave good tips or something, like let the Straw Hats enjoy themselves a little bit. I don't need conflict. I mean, I know this is a story and it needs conflict, but I want some happiness for my crew, and I want them to be together and have that. I hope they get at the end of the series, but it could also end up, they split up and they go their separate ways. And anyway,
what a relief that they all met up at this point. That was happy for me. They may get split up again, but
yeah,
it's nice to have them together at this point.
Freaking thrilled about that. Legitimately. That could have gone either way. Really could have gone either way. I think it made sense. I guess the question is, why did they split up in the first place? But I get what he was doing. Is that what I would have done if I wrote the story? I don't know, but it's Oda's story. I'll let him do it. Again, like, I know we didn't get a color spread this week, and we were off for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks before that, and we haven't got a color spread in a while. If he did one for this week, I wish it was just that color, that the 2-page spread, 6 and 7. I'm still a little sad that that's in black and white, but he did an excellent job. Despite that, it really get old One Piece vibes again. If I could nitpick, I noticed Bonnie missing her eye ring on page 7. That's as far as I'm going into nitpicking.
Shameful.
Shameful, really. Oh wait, maybe they're hallucinating.
That's got to be it.
Oh, there was one legitimate thing I wanted to mention. With the astral, the sun, and the underworld, we talked a little bit about the fact that island clouds are there. Not surprising, but interesting. I really wonder the connection between giants and the sky islands, the sky kingdoms, and the sky races. I wonder the connection. We talked a little bit about outer space. I don't know if it would be really interesting that we just did like the sci-fi arc, and the one we go to space in is the Viking, Norwegian mythology or whatever. To be fair, Oda would do that. That would be the curveball we all would expect. Sora's glasses I'll talk about another time, but other than that, yeah, really loved it. Some interesting questions, and we get to find out some of the answers next week, maybe. So that's fun. I actually think he did a pretty good job in perspective this week. That's been a hit or miss thing for me, but I think kind of thinking of them as giant Keebler elves, and I think that's a good place to leave it. Any other thoughts? Okay, we'll get into some piece together. We got lots of questions this week. Let's go into that.
Okay.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories and ask, is it a rainbow road, a rainbow of blood, a rainbow connection, or a rainbow you taste? We had a lot of rainbow-related things, and we chose none of them as our title this week.
Daniel got sick of it. He had to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Stephen. Daniel just got sick of our rainbow puns. We thank him for coming on, though. Please check him out. Well, we'll mention all his social media stuff at the end. But we have to start out, Alex, with
Dispiece. This is Dispiece, where we read your Discord comments. Big Joff today says, hello, I can't believe I just came up on 7 years of listening to you all.
I think it's Big J of today, right? That's what we've been saying. I don't actually know if that's right.
Well, Big J of today, Big Joff of today. Either way, he's okay in my book. In that time, I finished grad school, completed a professional license, and had a kid. I started on episode 496 when you covered the interview with Oda in one of the magazines. I was interested only in the interview, but slowly made my way through your special episodes and read through before becoming weekly. I've been incredibly happy being a Patreon subscriber and have enjoyed the extra value and community. My question is based on a recent episode where you were talking about picture books. I think Richard Scarry was mentioned, that you enjoyed and wanted to share with your children. I also know that you mentioned Oda has had some he likes. I cannot find the part where it was mentioned and want to get some for my 18-month-old. It's been really cool to hear about some of you starting your own families. Well, thank you so much, Big J. That's a very, very nice message for all of us.
We did not ask anyone to shill for our Patreon and talk about how happy they are as subscribers, but we appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's see. Next is Straw Hat Pirate 9, who says,
I guess, they talk about the picture books.
And I also want to, sorry, I was muted and talking to myself. I also want to mention that 496 was somehow only in 2017. Horrifying Fish Head was the name of it. Magazine Volume 3. Wow, the magazine has been going on that long. That's pretty
I know.
crazy.
It still seems like a new thing, and it's really crazy to me.
It absolutely does. And it was chapter 886 was the one after that.
Oh my God. That was almost 400 episodes ago.
Yeah. Can you freaking believe of this show? Yeah. Or 300 something. Yeah. It's nuts.
It's crazy.
He did say 7, or they said 7 years ago. Yeah. Picture books. I mean, I'm reading a lot of them. I'm falling back in love with Maurice Sendak. I know, Alex, when you came over, you read a little of my Chicken Soup with Rice that I got in like the year 1990. That's, knock on wood, he is not yet destroyed, like every other book. But he doesn't quite get that when you rip something. That's that. But I love that style, and it feels very not Oda-esque, but definitely like in the same kind of genre of adventure and like the bratty kids, almost like Luffy feels like that kind of character you'd see in a Sendek book of like, you know, I'm doing my own thing, fuck you, which I like. Yeah. But you're, you know, also getting comeuppance sometimes for doing that. But being a good person overall. That's the one that's popping into my head. Probably because I've been reading Chicken Soup with Rice every freaking 10 seconds.
Not as meaningful, but my wife and I recently were picking out like just kind of random smaller gifts for our niece for her birthday party. We were just walking around Target, and we found the kids like books section, and they had some Where's Waldo books. And I was like, oh, you know, Where's Waldo? Yeah, everybody loves Where's Waldo. And like, I just had this sudden thought of like, is this like the oldest, like most out of touch thing we could possibly give a kid these days? Is like a Where's Waldo book or something? And but we bought it for her anyways, and we gave it to her there, and she was like, just sat down immediately, was like, okay, where is he? Oh, there. And so,
I was thinking of buying one recently, so
yeah,
I'm glad
it still works.
Good,
it still works.
Yeah,
that book is all pictures.
Timeless magic. It's great to hear.
What's the British version of that? Where's Wally? Is that
Wally? Yeah.
It's Wally,
which is the real version, right?
I think that's the real one. Yeah.
I know we have international.
Book that
Go ahead.
Oh, a book that I really loved when I was a kid that I think feels very kind of Oda-ish, especially in Elbaph, is this book called The Woodland Folk in Dragonland. I don't know if folks know this book, but it's like about this like village of woodland folk, which are basically like gnomes, and then this village of like dragons, and they hate each other, and it's all about their like, it's a bunch of like diagrams of all their different villages and all their different equipment and stuff, and they're all preparing to have a big fight, and then at the end it's actually just a big tug of war between the two. But it's the kind of thing that I like really poured over, because there's just so many different creatures and cool ideas and concepts and stuff like that, and it's all kind of like medievally kind of and you know, non-modern kind of in the way that Oda likes to depict his fantasy stuff. So
that sounds a lot
that I recommend looking
like at. The one that Greg gave to him. I don't think it was the same thing, but it sounds very similar in concept to the one that Greg gave him.
I was obsessed with that book as a kid, and I don't hear people talk about it that much, but it was like my favorite book.
There are so many, and Joey is amongst them. I've told Joey I'm very excited. I think he's getting pretty close to being of age that I could just read those Joey's books with my son. But like, there's so many good picture books that definitely did not exist when I was a kid. And there's some amazing illustrators out there. I guess that has nothing to do with the question, but I just wanted to say. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Okay. Straw Hat Part 9. New chapter, yay! Elbaph at last. I'm so happy for Usopp and for us who have been waiting so long for this adventure. The Rainbow Bridge, so fun. It's going to be so amazing to see that in color. Word. Gerd is quickly becoming my fave giant. I worry about what promise Luffy made with Loki, but that's a worry for future me. Fun Elbaph adventure, let's go! Oda sure did end the chapter very interesting with that explorer's quote, though.
Indeed.
Yep. Reverse I Promise says, wow, Louis Arnott really put in work. I'd love to get a published version of Bragman as a tie-in someday. Speaking of big strong men, what is it Sanji and Zoro did to Rodo? Did they chop a tree down onto his face or something? Can we cast Rodo as Incel Jerry in a cartoon series with the Straw Hats playing Tom? And what's with this astral plane? Are we going to the moon?
Yeah,
I think we kind of covered this stuff.
Yeah, we are going to the moon is the answer.
Yeah, that's why when they talked about like, I can't believe he fell for that trap. That's why I kind of felt like, yeah, they just like they just cut down the tree, and then Nami and Chopper were like standing beneath it or like on the other side of it, so that he was looking under the tree at them and did not even notice that he was going to run face first into it.
My guess is like Zoro cut it and then Sanji kicked it down really quickly at him.
And Nami, I forgot to mention, Nami and Chopper were probably just bait. I assume they were just
I think so. Yeah. For whatever reason, Chopper was transformed and then he turned back into little baby Chopper.
Well, actually, can I ask, did this chapter come in later than usual or usual time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because like I wonder if he had a page in mind that he's like, okay, we don't really need this. I'll cut it.
No, I mean, it's a normal length for him, and it was in at like a proper time. It was not super late or anything like that.
Okay, I take that back then. But I mean, maybe he did that also just because he's like, if I do this, I won't finish it, and it's not that important.
Yeah,
he definitely knew in his head what was happening. It just wasn't expressed super well on the page. Alex, go ahead.
Okay. Kramer chapter as always says, ahoy OPP, banger chapter as always, well worth the wait. I know most of you have been following the series for longer than me, but I got into this series in 2011 at age 16, coming up 17. One Piece has been part of my life for almost half of it, ignoring 4 kids as a child, lol. So I've been waiting for Elbaph for that long too. And seeing that village on the page with Welcome to Elbaph made me react like Usopp. I genuinely teared up. The impact fully hit me. My question this week is, do you think the Giants like Katamari Damacy, and do you think they appreciate the King of all Cosmos, Royal Rainbow? Have a good week, folks.
I tell you, those giant houses would roll up real good.
Oh my god!
It's gonna take a while to build up that momentum, though. Got to find all the small things for those.
You'll get there, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard of Katamari.
It's good.
Oh wow, that's better than I would have thought.
Yeah,
it's my favorite video game, and I'm not a big video game guy.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like a Zach. That Zach would enjoy it.
I just want to say I would play
crazy.
video games if I had the time. At first, I didn't have the money. Then I didn't have the time or the money. Anyway, go ahead. Well,
no
now
context.
The kids eat the money.
You should just listen to that first game soundtrack, Zach. It's a banger.
Yeah, it's really great.
I'll find time at some point, maybe.
Big Mike says, when are the men going to do the girlfriend bracket episode?
Oh boy,
the boobcast does not count as the girlfriend bracket episode.
Yes, it does.
Robin wins there. Done.
Yeah,
Easy.
Robin.
Gerd could be up there now.
See, now we're doing the episode.
No.
Right this second. It's
I think I'm not even entertaining this question.
SNP says, oh, what would you say?
I was like, make it a huge Patreon goal, and then you do it on an anniversary.
I would do it for
episode
Patreon, and that's the only way I would do it. And it would need to actually draw in a lot of people. Like it would have to be like one of those, like we hit this many and people, and we'll do it. Sure.
This is where the episode of the podcast
Finally,
where we
time
all
for men to say something. Yeah.
That's right.
Finally, us white straight men have a chance to, really be represented here.
God,
Hey,
that's the episode where we all become Roto, like in real life.
You got one POC on here at least this episode.
yeah. Who are you
Rare
expecting for,
OPP.
Zach?
Yeah. You're right.
So moving on.
I'm gonna go.
Moving on, this is from SNP, who says, ahoy OPP, banger chapter as always. Every time there is a new character with a new name, it's always fun to hear Steven talk about his thought of translating it. Still loved his reason behind Miss Buckin. So clearly this is about Colin. Does Steven have anything to say about this guy? For me, I found out from Uteron, that one Japanese YouTuber who wears a helmet like Shotgun, likes to talk about number puns, that Colin's name in original Japanese Koron could potentially be one of Oda's number puns, Ko and Ro, just like Luffy. Ko meaning 5 and Ro meaning 6. It fits with like how how he acts like Luffy as a child towards Shanks. Which I think, I definitely see the parallel there a little bit.
Yeah. So I did see this question ahead of time, which is why I didn't actually get into it during the manga recap, because I was like, all right, I'll save it for this Disbeast question. It is interesting. So the kid's name in Japanese is Koron, which would be Romaji would be Koron. And it is true that yes, you can read it that way, where ko would be analogous to go, which is 5, and ro would be short for roku, which is 6. So there is some resonance with the Gomu Gomu stuff, where you could see this kid as being either similar to Luffy or someone who might look up to Luffy in the future or something like that. And that's that is fun. Of course, when it comes to translation, that's also the kind of thing that, like, literally it is a Japanese exclusive thing. Like, there is literally no way for any other language basically to innately understand that sort of numerical wordplay, because the numbers are different in other languages. So it is one of those things that is ultimately like destined to be relegated to, like, when you scroll down to the very bottom of the wiki article where it's like, hey, here's trivia. This guy's name is similar to 5 and 6, which is Luffy's sort of code number. It is not the sort of thing that anyone is going to pick up innately. So that pretty much right off the bat kind of excludes it from, like, being like an angle on the name that I would actually pursue as far as trying to represent it in the English spelling. So I'm pretty much just going off of the sound in this case. And what I did for this character specifically, and what I've been doing since the start of Elbaph, is I do have a couple, I think I maybe mentioned this before, but I have some resources that I do use occasionally with a series like Vinland Saga, for example, where there's like a name, there's a website. I think if I'm remembering correctly, it is nordicnames.de. Which is just a giant database of, like, various, like, Nordic, Norse, Scandinavian names, and you can get like a full list of, like, here's all the male names, and then you can click on, like, here's A, D, A, L, B, B, J, like, just you can click through all the different sections and see a bunch of names. And so when I have stuff like this where it's katakana, so it's phonetic, but I don't know how you would spell it, and I can look at that and look for names that look like they correspond to what the katakana says. So I basically did that. This is kind of like my old go-to method, looking for Koron to see if there's like a sort of Norse-y, something that would fit with a Vicky the Viking type setting, and didn't really find anything. And K is not a super common consonant used in Norse languages. Maybe some of them, but not. I don't think Old Norse, for example, really has it. C is more comfortable. So I'm looking at I'm looking at C names, and basically what I came down to was, like, the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to call him Colon, Colon. I just don't want to call the kid. So, I don't want to call the kid, the rear of your intestine. And basically, so that was my sort of compromise to, like, here, let me come up with an interesting name that does not sound like it is supposed to be referring to his rectum. And so I came up with Colin, Collun, instead as an alternate.
That's really funny, because there is actually a Super Sentai character from a show called Live Man, who's a kind of like cutesy female robot, and her name is Koron, and it is popularly romanized as colon, like the body part. And I just, cannot separate myself anytime I saw that.
Yeah, so I do have to, keep things like that in mind every now and then, and this was one of those cases. So that's my spiel. What's next?
Okay. The next comes from SNP again, who says, seems like the village in this chapter is the same one in Big Mom's flashback. Considering Jarl and Yorl were in that village, then Durin Brogi said this is their village. No wonder all the kid raised here have grown up and joined the giant pirates.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sailor Carnes Universal says, "Hey OPP, I'm glad that we're back with the new chapter. This chapter felt a bit rushed to me, like the crew found each other in record time. Do you think the crew will separate again in the arc?"
I hope not.
I hope not. Also,
I think they will.
Like, they always take so long to find each other. Why not this one time? They accidentally happen upon each other.
Yeah, and they're going to the same place.
That's
so
true. They are.
It makes sense.
That's a nice change of pace.
We never discussed this. Where are they going in Elbaph specifically?
I don't know. I think
that castle. There's a castle.
We're going to find out what the giants tell them.
I'm sure there's many castles.
They're going to learn what the story is in Elbaph that they have to worry about and get something there. I was going to say too, regarding the reunion, is that it does make it feel like the purpose of separating of having the absinthe party and then having, some of the Straw Hats are on the Sunny, some of the Straw Hats are on the Great Eric, and how, why they get separated was it does seem in retrospect like, okay, we can take some of the Straw Hats. Oda says, I can do this fun little fake out with the Legoland and have it be revealed as this sort of no-name, low-level side characters work, and then get into the real Elbaph from there, and more importantly, that this is a way for him to also shoehorn in Luffy meeting Loki and making whatever promise he made that is probably going to cause some horrible accidental situation later on, and that having that all set up in motion in a way that is not quite as artificial as if he just wanders off on his own and does that independently. So that's how I kind of felt about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All I'll say is I did think about that this chapter, thinking did we really need to separate them? But it is easier probably for Oda to draw 5 Straw Hats versus a whole or 6 of them rather than the whole crew all at once. So it makes sense to me.
I find it very unlikely that they will not be separated by the end of the arc.
I know. I know. Hopkins Hat has the last one saying, "Hey OPP, how it be? People have been waiting so long not only to see Elbaph, but to read the arc that takes place on it. Other than Elbaph, what has been your most anticipated islands/places to see in One Piece? Locations that you'd only heard characters talk about and make you go, oh yeah, I really want to see that."
Fishman Island.
Yeah, it was Fishman Island for a really long time.
Laugh Tale.
And that's the answer now, since Fishman Island and Elbaph have been the ones that we've been
Space.
a bit for
Space, definitely space. The moon.
Space Island, yes.
The Endless Firth.
Space Island.
The Endless Firth, to be fair.
The Endless Firth Island.
Lodestar Island, although I don't know if there's anything there of any interest.
God Valley, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Or Yellow Dog, even rarer.
Yellow Dog. But
oh yeah,
was there anything on God Valley worthwhile, or was it just the place where that took
I think
place?
it's just seeing the story that played out there.
I really
like talking about places that we have been to, but I was kind of excited to see. I was really happy to see a little bit of story happen on Full Lead, because I thought that was a cool,
very cool,
kind of throwaway gag island, and it was nice to see that actually.
Or Loser Island.
Oh yeah, Loser Island. Yeah, the Rocky Port incident stuff that Stephen, that y'all were talking about on the SGS was really, really interesting stuff. And that's the kind of lore about One Piece that I really love. And you don't really need to see it, but it's cool just to hear about it.
Much like how Roto got hit with a stick.
Yes.
We don't need to see that.
Yeah, I have to believe that he, at some point, he was definitely thinking, oh, I could probably draw the Rocky Port stuff at some point. And then he eventually concluded, no, actually, I can't fit this in anywhere.
Well, maybe the anime will do it one day. And that's it for this piece.
So Steven, where do we go next?
We'll go to the subreddit Archipelago, where Black Northwind has started our thread this time. Hello, OPP. So I just thought about Loki and Lola's wedding, and an idea popped into my head. What if Loki pretended to marry himself into Big Mom's family and at the last moment would call the wedding off regardless if Lola had stayed with her family? Heck, Loki might be the reason why Lola left her family in the first place. I didn't get the impression that they were that far along, but it was left kind of intentionally vague, I guess I would say. I guess if no one else has any thoughts on that. Gecko Moria fan 151 says, hello, this is a question for Steven. I've been rereading the series and I noticed some characters have their iconic laughs like Miss Valentine, but others do not, specifically Dory and Brogy. I know you didn't work on the Little Garden arc, but I thought you might have some insight on this. Are some laughs more difficult to translate than others? That's a great question. I would say... Yeah, I mean, sure. Like, they're just sounds, so it ultimately just kind of comes down to like, is there like a theme to the sound? Like, is he like playing off of a specific word, or is it just like a particular tone of voice that it conveys to the character? And the former, sometimes, yeah, you might come into some tricky stuff. Although sometimes it really works out. Like, I think. Wapple's wife, Miss Universe, the way that I was able to translate that into gold, dig, 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 dig. I thought that was like, that was obviously, that's a super funny way to do that.
Still one of my favorites.
they don't always necessarily go that easily. And then I think the bigger issue too, at least going back to like the early days of when I worked on it and before, is just like, I guess, the general editorial belief of like, oh, these sound weird. They don't sound natural. And like, I don't know if they thought they weren't going to scan to like readers or something. And that's why I think a lot of those laughs were just kind of left out. That maybe the translator, maybe it's a case of like the translators weren't necessarily familiar with the entire series. Maybe they're just working volume to volume, and so they get this weird laugh and they're just like, oh, that's weird. Why did they laugh like that? And they don't realize that like, oh, actually, like every other character going forward is going to eventually have some kind of distinct laugh. And then, only in hindsight do you realize, oh, well, I guess we kind of missed out on that sort of stuff. I pretty much came into it like, look, these are super iconic. They're part of the blood, the lifeblood of the series is like having these funky laughs. Like, let's definitely put in everyone that we possibly can, and that's why I basically reinserted Dory and Brogy's laughs, because it's just not. Didn't feel right to handle them without that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of about the laughs in the series.
Well, I've been curious about this, and I would be interested to hear if you can recall when you were first reading the series in Japanese, like early on, is it clear that everybody has like unique laughs, or is that something that kind of developed over time with the series? I know by the time you get to Dory and Brogy, they do, but like, yeah, I've always kind of wondered if the translators just kind of didn't necessarily in those early days think like, oh, this laugh is going to always match up to this one character,
Yeah, I think maybe Arlong was the first character to really feature a distinct laugh, the sha-ha-ha-ha-ha. And I think that's maybe where that took off for Oda. And so like the point, I remember this very distinctly, the point when Viz licensed One Piece was right after Alabasta had finished. So like when they were introducing the series, or like giving a little quick bio of what is One Piece and why is it popular, they would mention like, oh yeah, and the first pressing for volume 24 is a Japanese record of 2.1 million or whatever it was at the time, back when they would do that all the time. And so even back then, it's like, okay, you only have a couple arcs worth of characters who have this laugh. And it was enough where if you were a big fan like I was and most of the other people who actually knew what One Piece was prior to those publications coming out, it wasn't a ton of track record. And so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that someone who's just hired to work on the series coming in wouldn't necessarily know that yet. Because a lot of things that we take for granted, they develop over time and they become familiar and inescapable, once it's been around for 10 or 15, 20 years. But they're not always, super obvious when you start out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
And lastly, another one, Amiibo Hunter 000 says, "Hey OPP, hope you have a wonderful start to your holidays and enjoyed Luffy in the Macy's Day Parade. I have a question for Steven. Do you have any information about any upcoming novels? I have seen that Heroines is getting an English release this spring and summer, and I was wondering if any other novels are in the works. I don't know if you would be translating them or if you even have any information, but anything you can share would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, love the show. I look forward to every episode." So first off, I am not going to tell you, I'm not going to break the news about any upcoming novels that might be in the works for Viz. Might or might not, because they get to announce them. I don't, and I can get in big trouble if I tell anyone that things that have not been announced are coming out.
Steven, no one listens to this.
Stuff.
You'll be fine.
Just between us girls.
But I will say that as far as like One Piece stuff goes, I think the only One Piece related thing that Viz has done that I have not worked on are the cover comic versions, such as like Shokugeki no Sanji or the
Boichi.
I didn't initially do the I didn't do the Boichi Zoro chapter initially because that did get released on Shonen Jump back in the day, but I did do it eventually for the Ace manga volumes.
Oh, right.
But yeah, basically the only thing that wasn't done by me was the Shokugeki no Sanji book, because that was the same artist team that did Food Wars, and so they just it went to the Food Wars editor and they went to the Food Wars translator, so it fits in the style that was already employed in that series, which to me I don't have any problem with that at all. Not that it matters what I think. They can Viz can do whatever they want with it. But I didn't really have any issue with that. Everything else, as far as I know, they have come to me, at least they've come to me first to be like, hey, can you translate this too? And obviously I'm going to do anything I can to work on One Piece related stuff. So hopefully in the future, if there are more novels that come out, they will all be worked on by me. I would like to continue doing that. So, that's what I can say about that. And that is it for Reddit.
And I'll say, well, you know what? We'll go to Blue Sky Pia. I don't think we had any questions, but first of all, I want to let people know that it's out there and to check out our Blue Sky account at onepiecepodcast.com. Use the hashtag Blue Sky Pia to ask questions each week, whether or not we put out the call. No, we're done with Piece of the Tweet.
I said Piece of Skeet.
No, we're also not doing that.
All right. Okay.
I mean, look. No, I don't even want to look at that hashtag. I was like, we'll look at them. But no, I don't want to. Dennis, look, in the future, if you want to, feel free to send those in. We just won't read them. Yeah, but please follow. And we got like some comments, but the one thing I did want to note is we didn't mention Eiichiro Oda's comment, which Adil was nice enough to post on our Blue Sky, apologizing, saying a huge apology for taking a long break right after I said I was going to work really hard. I'll give it my all with my pen. The funny thing he could have done here was to say, I'm going to work really hard right after that. And all of us just have to guess if he's telling the truth. The response overwhelmingly from people, at least that follow us, so anecdotally, is please, Oda, take a break. Everyone's worried about your health and how you're doing.
I will say it's really relatable that he said, I'm sorry I didn't do a lot more work after I said I would do a lot of work. I really felt that one.
Me too. Oh, are you kidding? Yeah. Me too. Steve Yurko could attest that I am the king of promising things and then not delivering on them. I deliver on some, but I work hard, but I never do the things I say I'm going to do when I do them. Anyway, that'll do it for Piece Together. Thanks, everyone. Let's round off the show right after this. This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 845 for December 2nd, 2024. Thank you all so much for coming on the show this week. Please remember, you could find our episodes at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. And please check out our ad-free and extended versions there, as well as the alternate art. Big thanks to Joey Weiser once again, doing a lot this year. Love Joey.
Busy.
Yeah. Love Joey.
Now that I'm done with my book.
Yeah. Well, we always have art that we need. Thank you so much, Joey. Love Joey's art. If you haven't, Joey, why don't you plug all of the stuff that you have out there and where people can find it?
Sure. You can find me at Joey Weiser on Twitter and Blue Sky. More active on Blue Sky these days. Also, Joey Weiser Comics on Instagram. Please check out my graphic novels, the Mermin series and Ghost Hog and Dragon Racer. And in particular, I've got kind of two action items for you this week. One is I have a new graphic novel coming in March called The Littlest Fighter that we talked about a little bit in the intro. It's a kaiju-inspired graphic novel about a kaiju about the size of a human child that wants to battle giant kaiju. And it's available for pre-order now. And if you want to get a signed copy, you can pre-order that from Avid Bookshop, AVID, like an avid reader. But you can also pre-order from your own local bookshop or an online seller that you like, wherever you like to order it. It's available, and it'll come to your doorstep or your local shop in March. So please check that out. And then also for a kind of like change in pace, I also recently wrote an article for Anime News Network all about the actor Ken Takakura. So for anybody out there who's a fan of Dandadan and have been kind of wondering, who is this actor guy that Ayase keeps talking about that she has a big crush on named Ken Takakura, that the main character is also coincidentally named. I wrote a big article with not only kind of a description of who he is and how he got the reputation that he does, but a short list of movies that are available to see in English-speaking territories where you can see just how cool Ken Takakura is. So check that out if you get a chance.
And please... is Toho Yaro, I need to make sure, is still available somewhere, but if you haven't, check it out.
It's still up.
Yeah.
I saw that Joey's article was making the rounds, although apparently it was mostly just with Japanese people that thought it was cool that someone was talking about Ken Takakura.
Yeah, I had originally consulted with them on a video, like a short video that was posted on social media and on YouTube and stuff, and I think that's the one that kind of like was more or less a viral hit within Japanese speaking Twitter, of people being like, wow, Americans are interested in Ken Takakura. That's interesting. But yeah, there's even more information in that article if people want to check it out.
Yeah. And when I saw Joey that I'm like, of course that Joey's writing that article for Ian. Yeah. Congrats on, you've had quite a few weeks, I feel like. Dennis, where can people find you?
My social media handles for Instagram and Blue Sky are Ichnob, ICHNOB. There you can find all my stuff that's related to mostly traveling, cosplay, Gunpla, that sort of thing. I do also host a podcast that Zach mentioned earlier, Fininja Anime Club podcast. We talk about old school anime while drinking wine while recording. I have not been drinking wine for this recording. Thank you. But we are covering some fun things. We just did the 1992 OVA series Bastard, along with covering the first half of Fushigi Yugi. And for December, our one podcast recording, we're going to go over Gundam Wing Endless Waltz for the holidays.
Woo.
That should be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And last quick plug, if you are going to Anime Los Angeles, I host a model kit building panel called Model Kits and Chill. We play lo-fi music there. It is 2 hours counter late night programming to all the 18 plus programming that's there. So don't have a date.
That's the 30 plus panel. That's what
kind
that
of.
is. Yeah.
We actually get some young kids there too who are like, I want to build a model kit for the first time, and it's, very low stakes, easier grade kits for folks. Someone did bring a perfect grade unicorn kit and got through a foot. That's all that they finished during that 2 hours there. It was very ambitious, but, kudos to him for even bringing that. I'm surprised that he wanted to build that there, but hey, I'll find out more about that later and I'll post it on my social media. But yeah,
that is my vibe, Dennis. That
relaxing panel.
I haven't done Gunpla, but I know I would love it.
You would. It's relaxing. We provide a kit if you don't have one, but we also say, hey,
it keeps your mind occupied, and then the lo-fi on top of it. That's my stuff right there, and that's great. Steven, where can people find you?
I am also on Blue Sky at stephenpaul.bsky.social. I am still doing my 3-chapter a day reread. I haven't really posted much about it. My reread of One Piece recently, just because I haven't really had any funny observations to make. But I just passed chapter 1000 in the past few days, so we're really getting into the action on Onigashima. And I did. I have read this whole thing through before. I believe the last time I did a reread, it was 2020. So. We were almost done with Onigashima at that point. But reading it again now, further away from that arc, it is a much more pleasant read. You can just kind of, if you don't like the ice Oni, it's gone in 2 days, and you don't have to worry about it. So that's fun. I've been having a lot more fun with Wano than I actually thought I would. So it's been a great reread.
I am sure. I can't believe 2020 was almost 5 years ago now. Let's not think about that though. Alex, where can people find you?
Nothing to plug, but follow me on Blue Sky at dude!!.bluesky.
What about Weeb Simpsons?
Oh yeah, I recently put all of that on Blue Sky. So enjoy the backlog and enjoy new stuff, because being on a squeaky clean new social media site has given me a little bit more of a drive to do that. So check out Weeb Simpsons, also on Blue Sky now.
It's go ahead.
I mean, it's only on Blue Sky now because I deleted all of I deleted all the entries on Twitter because I wanted to be a dick.
Well, you don't want AI learning how to make Simpsons references properly.
Correct.
No, that's really what it is. You can check me out on Blue Sky too. I'm currently ZachLogan.com there. Please check out the podcast there, OnePiecePodcast.com. It is really insane how we have, I've said this before, but a fraction of the followers, and yet an exponentially more feedback, and people clearly seeing our posts and us, and it's really I actually feel like we're talking to 2,000 people instead of not talking to 50,000 people. So that's been really nice. You could check us out, Patreon again, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Any social media, we're back on Facebook. You could check that out if you have that. Instagram.com/OnePiecePodcast, which we should probably post on more. Or you could check us out at OnePiecePodcast.com. New articles coming out, all that fun stuff, plus Greg's awesome column. I'd be remiss if I did not mention Daniel Greene's stuff. Please check him out at Daniel B. Greene on Twitter and social media. His YouTube is Daniel Greene Reviews. He has 2 books out, Breach of Peace and Rebel's Creed. Check that out wherever you get your books, and more. He has a link tree, which is just Daniel Greene. Check that out for anything I missed there, which I'm sure are many things. He does good work. I really enjoyed his last catch-up video. I don't think I've seen this one yet, but I will. And you could follow us. You could also call us at our phone number that we totally answer, 347-497-MAJI. That
Maji.
Phone number, again, 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, comments, or
just call.
Or your cockroach.
I'll call now.
Don't call now. Or a cockroach named Wanda. Please don't send your cockroaches. Thank you very much.
Or your water bugs.
No, those are worse. But your lowest Griffin quotes, you could send those. Thank you all so much for listening. We're back next week with a regularly scheduled episode of the One Piece Podcast with Roger's Base. We will see you then, everyone. My name is Zach.
And my name is Alex.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Chica is the One Piece.